Hello and welcome back to Inforunners. My name is Paul, Berserker01, Batman Shelley, and with me as always is Execute. Today we are doing something because a little worm crawled inside my ear and wouldn't let go, and I pitched the idea to Execute like 2 or 3 weeks ago,
but didn't tell me what it was. Didn't tell me what it was.
It was on the fly. I was in the middle of a stream. I just didn't think about telling you what it was, and then I forgot. and it took us a couple of hours to kind of talk about it, and then I remembered, oh yeah, this is what it was. So one of the episodes I've been on recently with the Inforunners, we talked about the kind of people don't really get the grasp the size of the verse, of the individual systems and how big they are. And I was beginning to think of other concepts, other things that are very...
That one went fairly viral too, didn't it?
Yeah, a lot of people picked it up and duplicated on itself. People did their own videos on it, So, and that was your call there, Execute, which is the cool part about that. And so I was thinking about what other things that people aren't considering, and one of the things that just popped in my brain was inventory, because it's not something that's just some future problem that future us that can imagine in the future. This is something that is at the very earliest starting to hit us next patch in 6 weeks, maybe a little bit longer at the earliest. But it could be, even if that gets pushed off to 3.16, 3.17, it's not going off into some distant future. It's going to happen soon. And this transition is going to start to impact everyone's gameplay. And I don't think most people are thinking about it.
I think the other part of it is when you kind of get to the end of this video, you're going to realize just how much it's going to roll out too. Like it's just small now, but as it rolls out into other systems and other gameplay, like it's going to affect everything. It's quite a gigantic thing. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, it's even this small section. Like, we're going to do an entire different video talking about the much bigger version of this in terms of inventory management and logistics. This is just a tiny little baby video. This is your intro to the... we call it a problem, but it's not really a problem. It's the gameplay design. It's more of and something that most people are not paying attention to. So I'm going to start off with defining inventory, and then we'll kind of move on from there. When we're talking about inventory, it's important to remember that we're talking about everything. We're talking about what's on your person, what's in your inventory, what you're carrying with you, what's on your ships, what's in the cargo containers of your ships, the cats in your in your hangar.
If I don't pick her up, she's just going to keep meowing, so sorry.
Yeah, that's fine. She wants to pay attention. Rare view of the YouTube viewers get to see of the cat. She is very frequent in our non-recording sessions.
Actually, it's usually him that turns up. She's the one that's usually quiet on the bed. So this is the first time she's ever been on the show ever.
Yeah.
Anyway, very. Anyway,
good.
So I kind of going back to the whole thing about how this is going to affect everything, because it's literally the example I kind of gave to Paul just before we kind of went live was we were talking about New World and encumbrance. So there was 2 points there. So like, are you going to be encumbered, or is it also going to just be that like if it physically doesn't fit in your backpack, you just can't carry it? And the other example I gave in almost every type of MMO or any game where you've got loot is you travel like maybe 20 minutes out to somewhere, and you get there and you forgot that one thing, and you got to go all the way back again. And I think with the distances we're talking in Star Citizen, that could be the most epic nightmare. Going all the way out to somewhere and having, like, look at the travel times we're talking about. Like, to go across the system that's small is like 45 minutes. So if you literally travel 2 hours to get somewhere and you've forgotten something, there could be a lot of time wasted, to say the least. Anyway.
Yeah.
All right.
I might be a little robot-y. I can hear you, robot, a little bit. So it should pass.
All right.
Yeah.
It's all good.
So let's get started with just kind of the basic breakdown of this as well. Like, let's take the very basic starting idea of you're a starter player, you have an Aurora, you have a pistol, and you have a spacesuit. You can go anywhere. Anywhere, as long as you have the gas to get there, you can go there. But the second you start expanding and upgrading your stuff is when inventory starts becoming more complex and can become spiraling out of control. The first thing most people will buy is maybe a new armor set. Cool. One armor set, easy to get. You have it on you. What if you get another one? What if you get a weapon? Now you're going to have ammo for that weapon. How much ammo do you carry with you? Where are you going to store excess ammo? Maybe components for your ship. You have a brand new shield generator. You slap that bad baby in. You're like, I'm good. I've got my little death machine here. But you pulled out the old shield generator. Are you going to sell that shield generator? Are you going to keep it around in case this shield generator breaks? Because it could break in combat, and it may be you may not have the funds to fix it right away. So you just slap the old shield generator back in there, and you're not as happy, but at least you got something that works. These are decisions you're going to have to start to make. And then where everything just gets thrown, giant monkey wrench into everything is now you purchase an Avenger Titan. Now you have 2 ships. Fantastic. When you're operating, say, around Hurston, that's not a problem. But what if you want to move to Crusader?
Well, actually,
better options.
Actually, technically speaking, you're actually going even more detail. Everything could have just been a hab almost up until that point. And now you're actually going to have a hangar because you have to have somewhere to store the other ship as well. So but continue. Yeah, traveling to another place. So
traveling to Crusader. Say we want to reset up everything. You're going to reset up yourself in Crusader because you've got better options there for money and making opportunities. You have 2 ships. How are you going to get both ships out there? Are you going to fly one ship out there and then take a shuttle back and then get into your your other ship and carry that with you? Are you going to take all of the stuff you've purchased with you? Are you going to just set up a new base of operations, buy a new hangar, buy a new hab, buy new gear, buy more ammunition? Like, are you and if you're going to do the shuttling thing, what happens if you're shuttling everything back and forth and you get attacked or you blow up?
Yeah. Do you risk everything you own just to move between to save a quick buck? Yeah. And move between systems, or do you keep that as your little nest egg and branch out and build a whole new one? Yeah. But then you got to pay fees to store that.
Yeah.
do you so it's compounded.
It's compounded, and a lot of the stuff isn't game yet, like hangar fees and cost of buying ammunition, having to restock ammunition constantly. We haven't even talked about food.
Yeah.
The cost of having food and water, while it won't be a huge deal, it's going to catch up to you if you're not paying attention to it. Plus nutrition, how that will play into your health. What if you get hurt in a mission? How are you going to pay for the medical expenses? And then, where do you go? Every time, if you're going to be setting up in Hurston, if you're set up in Hurston and you reset up in Crusader, are you going to reset up your spawn point so that you're in Crusader? Yeah. That's a trip in itself to go down to Orison, go to Orison General, set your spawn point there, go back to where you need to go to. And if you forget, guess what? Now you're all the way back in Hurston with no ship to pick you up and take you all back to Crusader unless you have a friend or this is just 2 ships. This is two ships and a pistol.
Yeah.
So
and it's only going to roll out from there.
Yeah, it's only going to go bigger from there. So, that's just the basics. And I wanted us to kind of take a look at what we have now for inventory and compare it to other games as well, so we have a good perspective. So I think we visually show this a little bit
better. All right, so we'll kick it over to the browser then, and we'll go through some of the examples. So this is kind of Star Citizen at the moment, what they've shown us. And I think you'll probably agree when we look at some of the others, Paul, that it's probably, I'd say, vastly smaller than what we're looking at compared to other stuff. And I've also heard things about they're playing a bit of the Tetris game, so we will get some weird shaped loot items. I kind of do look at this one, and yeah,
Yeah, it's small, and then you
yeah,
compare it to WoW. Yeah,
which is, and this is not even as large as WoW can go, but it's just ridiculous. Like you pretty much carry more on you in WoW than you do put in the bank. Um, and I think Star Citizen is going to be the complete opposite of that, where you're going to kind of have more in your hangar or your hab, and then a bit more on your ship. But then as you go out, you're getting less protection. So once you're on foot or on a vehicle, and then every step out further into the remote area you go, the less you can take. And the more valuable stuff you'll probably find, but to get it safe, you've got to bring it all the way back to somewhere like a hangar where it can't be destroyed. Because all the way along, if you think about that, you can be shot very easy on foot, but it's a lot harder to shoot you when you're in a ship, but then you can still lose it in a
mm,
ship. So I can see the kind of gameplay, that versus reward gameplay, and that's also maximized by like whether you're in a safe system or in a a pirate type of system. So
yeah,
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 um,
yeah,
yep. Next one. So I
yeah.
think this is probably the closest one I think to what Star Citizen is probably at the moment in my head anyway.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
this is
The
Tarkov, by the way.
stash. Yeah, this is Escape from Tarkov. The stash is a classic thing in Tarkov where you have a central hub that has all of your stuff, and now your stash is also limited by size. You can get larger stashes and such and so forth, but if you look at the actual inventory that is carryable by a player, you'll notice that it is much smaller than the stash can be, which is going to
Mm,
be very similar to Star Citizen. I feel like you're based off of what we've seen, your the amount of you can carry is just going to be what you carry on your own body,
yeah.
and as your what you can carry won't be everything, so you're going to need some way of carrying that through boxes or friends or any other means to be able to move stuff.
Mm,
um, and your that stash where it's centralized in Escape from Tarkov, there could be 14 of those for a
yeah.
player or just one, but if you want to move that stash, you're going to have to move it every bit, beat by
Mm.
bit, where it needs to go.
And
And that's not a slow process.
in Star Citizen, you can kind of modify that too, because if this is the person, this could be the vehicle, and then the next step
Yeah,
after that is the ship, and then after that you've got the hangar, and you can kind
yeah,
of see it could.
exactly.
And I still think, like, instead of having this one big global one, this might be what the hangar is, but I think they're very much going to be a lot more incremental than most games, because you're just going from a small to a large. I almost think there's going to be those sizes, like if you want to put it in a weird way, like ship sizes, you might have your small, your medium, your large, and your capital. So your
Yeah,
capital would be your hangar, and you get where I'm going with that. So I think it's going to be a
yeah,
lot more um, nuanced. And one of the things I did
layered.
talked about with you was, like, if you have a cargo ship, it won't all just be cargo. Some of that cargo will be just be your daily use stuff that you use yourself. And I think
Yeah,
that's why they're going back and they're putting a lot of cargo into some of the combat ships, like so things like the Redeemer and the Tanner. You're actually seeing those actually getting small amounts of cargo that they can use because it's going to be needed.
yeah. The personal inventory spaces on the Gladius alone are added. So like, and those are
Mm,
tiny though, compared to how much space you were going to need to carry on an average basis.
mm,
Um, this is Star Wars Galaxies, which is an often people use as a comparison, and it's important to remember that Galaxies is basic income. Its basic source, or its basic means of making money, was crafting.
yeah.
So mats were incredibly important, and you can already see the nested, like the this kind of thing at the very bottom of this image is the all the stuff that's in the top left
Mm,
of the screen, the Jedi things, and each of those items might have their own compartments inside of them. So you can think of this similar to in Star Citizen, where you're going to have the personal inventory, your ship's inventory, your hangar inventory, your
mm.
so on and so forth. The scaling nature of the inventory and how much stuff you're just going to stuff you're going to have on you for various purposes.
I
So
kind of get the sneaking suspicion, Paul, that, like, where most games have, you have your inventory and you've got, you're on one world. We're traveling between planets, so I almost think that this game is going to be just like one step higher than any other game we've seen before, just because you're going to be traveling. Like, you're just not going to be able to, like, to pick everything up from one planet and move from one planet to the next just for one person is going to be huge.
Yeah,
I, I
it's
just,
an endeavor. You
it's
know,
just to try and put that in my head is quite large. Um, this next one here is a game that we've played here at Inforunners on our Discord with people, and that's Eco. And Eco is specifically important because it allows you to move stuff between different containers. Now, to put that into Star Citizen terms, I drive my little shit up, my little ship, my little ship up
little
to
ship.
my little ship up to this. Stop it, up to the space station. She's just going through a bag, a space station, and I can drag it from the initial. The initially is going to be just like Eco, where you can drag it from one container to the other, and it'll just instantly transfer across. But the next level of that for Star Citizen is it physically will then have NPCs taking the cargo out for you, or are you going to be manually doing it? So can you imagine physically manually pulling each box out, putting on a tray, like a trolley, and then pushing it into your ship and then putting it down? Like, so you can do it all manually, or you can pay for people to do it, and that no other game has done that. And again, that's going to slow your roll. And one of the examples I gave to Paul was, say you've got a full box and you have to remove stuff around, and sometimes you've had to move it out of a box to make room and then move it back to another box. But if it's a really big box and you've got to move 200 items out, if the NPCs are going to move 200 boxes, like, it might take you an hour just to declutter it so you can then move the stuff around and then move it back. I don't know if it's going to be that bad, but
yeah, I mean, just knowing where things are in boxes is a huge deal. You know, in games like Eco, and I can start seeing that in Star Citizen. Like, you may have 15 assault rifles. Do you know where they all are?
That
you know what,
that Mobigless app
you know,
is going to be pivotal.
Yeah, yeah, it's going to be your best friend when you're dealing with this kind of stuff. But
all right, so what we kind of went on to, I'll let you do this one, Paulo. Go for it.
All right, so we had conversations with this, and for those of you who are in the military, may see like something like this is very basic, but this is fairly comparable to what we see in Star Citizen right now: a weapon, a sidearm, some magazines. You know, like the watch could be a stand-in for a Mobi-Glass, some armor, and you're good. Right? Very simple, very easy. This looks similar to what we would see in Star Citizen today.
Right. The next
But
one?
that vest in the future will look like this. This is a typical, not even a typical. This is like a kit for a mission, maybe. You know, you've got sidearm, you've got weapons, you've got a backpack, you've got some food, you've got some medical supplies, you have some extra spare gear like clothing, water canteens, just a nuts amount of stuff, you know, that you're going to have to carry on you just for a mission, you know.
And yeah, I think the other part that the military guys were pushing was just how customizable this stuff is, and going between different types of missions that they do, and it's I guess a way a gamer could relate to it is the min maxing is you know, sometimes you need to be agile, and sometimes you want to have, like, you know, you need heaps of armor plates because you know you're going to be under fire. I can't relate, but I'm just trying to put it in a game terms. And being able to customize it and go in with the perfect set of stuff. And the military guys were saying things like they had to have different badges for different missions, and they might want to take a grenade, but they're not a grenade the next one, and stuff like that.
Yeah,
that just got to me very quickly. And this is just one person. So
this is just planning. This is planning for one person for one mission. You know, these are things you're going to have to think about, because everything you have on your gear, if you die, is gone. So what do you need? Absolute bare minimum is going to differentiate, and especially, you know, with the risk of dying, what do you want to take with you that you're willing to get rid of? In Tarkov terms, for those who have played Tarkov, gear fear is going to be real in Star Citizen.
Well, you can go back and get it with your clone, but is it worth the risk to go all the way back to get it where you may die again? You've got to weigh that up. And generally speaking, in most games at the moment, if you lose all your gear, you lost all your best stuff. So you have to go back and get it. In this, it's going to be a risk versus reward thing. Do you want to travel 2 hours back to that planet and all the way down and into that cave and go through all the monsters again with a second set of gear just to get the first set back? You've got to weigh all that up.
Yeah, and that you may have to ditch that gear if you want to get the good stuff. So you have to
Yeah.
pay for a bunch of gear that you're going to throw away. So the cost as well is going to start adding up as well. So, but and I know I can already hear the comments. But Paul, but Execute, I'm not a combat pilot. I'm not a you know. I'm not a. I don't do combat. I'm not going to do, or I'm not a ground pounder, or, that kind of things. I'm just going to be an explorer. Well, explorers have to think about this too. This is a typical backpacking setup. I'm an Eagle Scout. We did a lot of backpacking. I spent a lot of years in the Sierra Mountains, so I can say this is a fairly decent, maybe day pack.
It's just so you know, Nike Pro is the underpants that you wear, isn't it, Paul? No, I'm teasing. This is not 100%. Your photo. I'm just teasing.
Yeah.
But,
it's not my photo. Yeah. But I mean, here you've got, like, for instance, in real life terms, when you're hiking, you often want two sets of shoes. You want a hiking shoes and you want some sort of camp shoes, because as you're hiking, your feet can swell, and if you don't take your shoes off after you hike, then you may never be able to take them off again, especially if it's a longer hike. So you want something that you can air your feet out, so you don't get foot fungus and you don't get smelly and that kind of stuff. So those things alone are important. Plus, water filtrations means to help you deal with the elements, and these are the things we're going to have in Star Citizen. You're going to have the protection.
Yeah, and you can quickly see the customization there, because like if you need wet weather gear, if you need extra pairs of socks and all that type of stuff, that's I think a lot more relatable to most people. But now putting that into Star Citizen terms, as you suggested. Oh, actually, we've got the miner stuff first. Forgot about this. So this is taking it up to mining. So like real, you go ahead, Paul.
Yeah, like safety gear for mining, helmet protection, food, then rescue, possibly need rescue gear or the right type of equipment. These are all going to be things that are going to be needed, even if you're just a mole miner or a rock miner. These things may be to be taken into consideration, because every time you leave, you have to know that you have to have the gear for the stuff that could happen. You need to be prepared for it.
And these are two people going to the same place in different. So there's a miner versus a rescuer, but I digress. That just there alone shows you the differences. Same place, different situation. And so this is like a mining for Star Citizen, where we've seen this new Grey Cat armor come out. It's actually quite light. He's really carrying a lot of the essentials. His big backpack is to bring stuff back out with him, so he's probably going to go in light and come out a lot heavier, if you know what I mean. But he doesn't have
a planning too.
No weapons.
You also need timing.
He's got no weapons.
You don't. How about air supply, protection against the elements? How much is he gonna? How much is he gonna sell? How about food and water? Where's he storing that information? So he's going to need a base camp, so he needs to plan ahead to build a base camp for food and water, or his ship needs to be food and water. So this alone is just like, it's bare basics. But if you're going to make money, you need to have them. You need to have space for the money makers. But where are you going to carry the stuff that you need? So, maybe if you're not a miner, maybe you're an explorer, but still, the next one is up there.
This is a hot suit versus a cold suit type of thing, and it's also a lot more bulky, so maybe it carries even more than, say, the light guy does as well. And obviously it can go, like the miner is just going into a cave, but what if you need to mine in somewhere hot? Does that mean we're going to have hot suit mining suits and cold suit mining suits? Like the complexity goes up pretty quickly.
These are just simple things we have in game right now, which will, as the game progresses in the next couple of patches, we're going to start seeing, like, you're going to have to think about even the gear you're carrying, the suit you're carrying. You can't just slap the biggest, heaviest battle armor on you and just be like, I'm protected against everything. It's like, that may not protect you against radiation or heat or have enough oxygen to keep you out long term.
There'll be
a time just slap the lightest stuff and just run around everywhere, because you have to know what you're doing and where you're going, and that's where inventory is going to start mattering a lot more.
So you can even relay that back to ships too. Like we've seen ships that hold suits.
Hmm.
So some ships are going to have to go back to station every single time, and you're going to have the suit there at that station. What if you've got to travel? Like, do I travel all the way from Pyro back to Stanton to pick up that one suit, or do I buy the whole suit again? Oh, I can't afford it, so I have to travel all the way back. I might have to do another mission because I don't have enough money to get there and back. And like you can see, starting out is going to be a lot more difficult because you have to roll everything out, and it's going to be this big pool of resources that you've got to put out in all these different places, or take big risks. And if they don't pay off, they're going to set you back 2 or 3 days just to get all the stuff back. It's
Yeah.
it's a level of complexity I was not prepared for.
It's time and management and kind of stuff. You know, Star Citizen combat attire with this. You know, what weapons are you taking? What ammo are you taking? How much ammo are you taking? Are you taking enough ammo?
Yeah. Are you going with light, medium, or heavy? Are you trying to be agile or you know, armored so that you're a lot harder to kill? And I'm going to be honest with you. I actually reckon you'll see in a squad, you'll see a heavy guy and you'll see a light guy because you want that flexibility and versatility.
We're kind of jumping to the end there, but we're almost there anyway.
Yeah.
So like, and it's not even just humans. Like we'll see aliens doing the same things because everything is physicalized in Star Citizen. And I think this jumps us, or you kind of jumped us to the end, is like the reality is that in order to better deal with these problems, to better deal with the complexity of inventory, have a friend. One other person working alongside you means that you can have one person who you can split the gear cost. It becomes easier to carry things. You can have one person managing the home base, someone who deals with just flying you down there and having you worry about gearing up to go down into the caves, and you don't have to worry about dealing with the ship because they can deal with it. The more people you add, the easier it is to manage this inventory.
Yeah, and we were saying that before the show. Like, you can see that one guy that just sits back on the Kraken, and he's the guy that does all the logistics and all that stuff, and he that's his jam. Logistics is his thing. And then there's the people that go out and they just gather and they get all the stuff and they bring it back. And then you got your combat guys. I can just see the camaraderie of people being able to play to their own strengths, and you know, letting the other people do what they want to do. And I just think it's going to work really, really well. And I know a lot of people are scared about, like, I don't have those friends, but I think the game is going to not push you, but naturally evolve into that way. And I also think with there being 90% of the player base, so to speak, being AI, I do think the AI are going to fill a lot of those gaps. So you can actually have an AI go out and you know, gather some stuff and stuff like that. I think it needs to be at that level.
Yeah, and it's you either find friends or pay for them.
Yeah,
you know, you either pay, you know, organizations that are operating in the area to help refuel your ship, or to escort you, or to serve as mules to carry your stuff. Like so you don't have to find friends, but you're going to have to pay for them if you don't.
Well, you could have you could have an Orion, and you get a bunch of noobs on there that they're going to make twice as much money coming with you and mining than doing it in their own prospector. You know?
Yeah.
100%.
So, yeah, this game is the inventory in itself is going to be a way. You're going to have to learn how to manage it properly, and you're going to, if you don't, you will die and it will suck. You're going to die multiple times, and you're going to learn through the pain of death. Just how much it's going to hurt your experience. That planning and friendship are probably some of the biggest things. Learning how to be a nice dude, and learning how to be a nice dude to dudette, and learning to know what you need to do, what you take with you, are going to be two skills that are invaluable to a Star Citizen player.
There will be the people that go the other way, though, and do the crime thing and try and force people to do it. And that'll happen too, but like we talked about that too. If you get too big and too greedy, eventually people are going to band together and come along and stop that. Yeah. So camaraderie will go one way and the other, cause and effect, you know?
No one wants to be the top gunslinger because everyone's going after the top gunslinger, you know.
Can you mention that part about that comment Disco said? Because I think that's really important too. What they kind of shows what they're leaning towards.
So, like, there was a comment at a virtual bar citizen that some CIG members were there and a lot of players were there, and there was a joke that, or again, a kind of a fun comment that someone was saying that do you think people are going to? This is to other players, in the Zoom call. Do you think other players will grow attachments to their AI companions? And we joked about, like, yeah, of course they will. We grow attachments to toasters and rocks. Of course we're going to grow attachment to just random digital bits of information. But Disco Lando stepped in and to kind of explain something, and I think what he was saying is not something that Disco Lando necessarily believes specifically, but more of a way that the company works as a whole. He was trying to de-emphasize the reliance on AI and more emphasize on finding a friend or finding other people to play with. And it's something I've heard from not just Disco Lando, but from other developers inside CIG as well. They are very much designing the game not to force you to have friends, but to push you against other people, to have you make those interactions with one another, positive or negative, but to push you together naturally. And this is the kind of mechanic that will push you together naturally, because if you're playing solo and you've got cool things and another guy comes in and has the thing you need and you have the things that they need, working together suddenly becomes a better opportunity for both of you.
Profitable.
Doing what you need to do becomes profitable, or becomes easier, makes your life easier, which makes it more profitable because time is money.
I think the really interesting thing about that, Paul, is even now, the best times I have in the game are with other people. And if they can take that right now and just maximize that out, I think the draw card is going to be huge. Like the whole reason I got into this game was the constellation, that the whole idea of the 4-player, me and 3 friends going around in the universe type thing. And if you can maximize that out, and that goes up to like 83 people in a javelin, they are on a winner. Now, I know there are people that just like to sit down and do their solo thing, and you can do that. You'll still be able to do that, but just note that you'll probably be more restricted to those soloistic type vehicles. You're not going to be able to... I'm sure there's going to be someone out there that tries to get 82 NPCs and himself in a javelin, and if he can afford that, then he'll pull it off. I have no doubt, but I don't think it'll anywhere be near as strong as 83 real people in a javelin, because AI is just never ever going to quite meet a human. But
it comes down to that inventory management as well. You're going to have to feed 83 NPCs, and you're going to have to make sure they're happy and make sure that you have the right scheduling. And
too much to juggle for one person.
And we're getting a little bit into the kind of the mentality of like what we're going to be talking about later, where we take this kind of idea of these just simple personal inventory things and how adding people makes it simpler. How complex they get, and how adding people will then simplify it even further when you start adding group logistics, a small ship, a fleet of ships, an organization, a full-blown army or full-blown corporation, running locations. That's when logistics starts to become not just an important thing to know, but becomes essential to survive and to thrive in the verse. So
probably get that. Yeah, well, we've got some of our professionals on that, so look forward to that episode coming up soon.
They actually advised on this episode a little bit.
Yeah,
too,
they
so
did.
That's why
they did.
Yeah.
And they were like, "Just know you're treading on our turf." No, they weren't like that. But yeah, that we'll definitely let them talk about it more, because they know it way better than myself and Paul. But look forward to that in the next couple of weeks coming up, and they'll probably open your eyes even more than we have here. Yeah. Anyway. All right, do you want to kind of wrap up there, Paul?
Yeah. I've been Paul. This has been Execute.
Like, subscribe.
Subscribe. Well, here's the thing. Like if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you want to see more of this. Comment down below and let us know your thoughts on these things, because all of these things help us. We do respond to these comments, and it helps us a lot to push this. So if you like this video and you want other people to do it, share the video, it. It feeds the algorithm, and it really does help us get more eyes.
It's actually,
and it grows the channel.
It's actually crazy how much the algorithm needs to be fed. Let's just put it that way. If you don't work the way YouTube want you to work, then you just don't get worked. Or let's put it that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, let us know your thoughts below for sure. I'm actually kind of interested. Is this something that you guys have thought about? Because like we kind of slowly unpacked this today. Ended up talking about it for 2 or 3 hours before we even got started recording, and we pulled in a lot of the supporters and advisors and stuff, and then it all just went everywhere. And everyone kind of realized we'd been thinking about it, but no one had been talking about it, and so we kind of want to get that discussion going.
Yeah, you may be somebody who has already thought about this or you talked about this, and if you think of something more, something that we forgot about, put that in there as well.
Yeah.
But if you're someone who's not thought about this, or even like, share that down below as well. It helps us out a little bit to see if we're getting the right topics. Because this is just something that I was like, I don't know if people have been really comprehending the complexity of this until
it's like that last one. It's like that just how big Star Citizen thing is. That's something that we kind of talked about, but we'd never shared, and then we shared it, and poof, it went everywhere. So I'm just interested to see if this is something else like that, because I'm literally thinking it's like, well, we called the episode Inventory Nightmares, but it is a logistical nightmare. Like I hate to think how hard it would be without that Mobi-Glass app. I don't think I'm we joke about spreadsheets and Excel sheets for the CCUs and the ships. What's it going to be like actually trying to maintain all your inventory? I actually think there are going to be people that almost have a full-time job, and their whole job is, I am the logistics officer for this org. Like, I actually think that might be a thing, but we'll see.
That's not a my thing. That's going to be a thing, but we'll save that for later. Like, there might be a logistics guy in your group of friends, like the one dude who's just a mule who just runs around and be like, I have this for you. I have this for you. He may not fire a single shot in anger, but boy, does that man have a bag of holding. On his back.
Yeah, I was about to say the human bag of holding. Yeah, just All right, then. We'll wrap it up then, Paul. So you've been Paul, the Astropub.
I've been Paul.
Pitch yourself. Where can people find you again? I always like to pitch you guys. So
Twitch.tv/the Astropub, Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. Thursdays and Fridays at 8 p.m. Central, which is like 9 p.m. Eastern, and 1 p.m. Eastern on Saturdays and Sundays. We do a lot of Star Citizen, do some other games, and you can find my lore videos similar to this as well on youtube.com/the Astropub. So if you like lore of Star Citizen and you want to learn a little bit more, or you want to a little bit more discussions on things like the captain's table, where we talk a little bit stuff like this as well.
Who's on the captain's table coming up this week?
So this week was we just finished it. It was it's Karen from accounting.
Fist I know her.
And Jaws Sparky. Yeah, it's Karen from accounting. Yeah, everyone knows.
No. She hangs out with Cobra TV. So yeah,
she hangs out with Cobra TV, and she likes to stab things, is what I found out. So with knives.
All right then. So if you do like that type of discussion we have here, I highly recommend the Captain's Table. There's a lot of good discussion on there. So yeah. All right then. He's been Astropub. I've been Execute, and we'll catch you in the next one.
See you all in the black.